that we do in a way that doesn't injure or violate the human rights of anybody else. And I think that's the way we're going to bridge the race and class divide in the women's movement. But it starts with white women realizing that they have both race and class issues.
Couldn't agree more.
So speaking of white women,
Speaking of being surrounded.
bookends.
It's called a reverse Oreo, right?
Speaking of white women, so how can white women be allies to women of color, highlight the amazing work that women like yourself and SisterSong has been doing without stealing from it, taking credit from it, but truly being allies and also not stepping on toes? I read an article of yours recently where you said that the pull to work with mainstream organizations like NARAL, Feminist Majority, those the big four, I didn't name all four, but anyway. Planned Parenthood, thank you. The pull is very strong and very attractive, but what it does is it steals from your own agenda. That's why you created SisterSong, was so that you could serve the needs of women of color, which weren't being served by the main four, right? So how can we, as the big four, be allies to you in a way that highlights your work and honors your work, but doesn't step on the toes of your work?
Well, you asked a very complicated question. First of all, I always say start at home. If the four principal organizations understood better how to work with low-income white women, they'd understand better how to work with other diversities. So they not necessarily start at home. Middle-class white women can reach out to middle-class women of color, which is basically what's the organized group, but neither of us are doing a real good job of working with low-income women. And so just by reaching out to women of color doesn't mean you solve class issues. Yeah. Just by reaching out to women of color doesn't mean you solve issues of lesbians or incarcerated women. So you have to actually reach out and include those populations in your thinking, in your strategic planning, not as an afterthought. So I think the work starts at home. Now, SisterSong, we get a little sensitive because we are offering a new paradigm shift to the movement that is quickly being co-opted by the movement, where they are substituting the phrase reproductive justice where previously they meant pro-choice, but they really only mean abortion rights. Yeah. Without really looking at that intersectional, interconnected analysis that we're offering. As a matter of fact, one of the big four, and I won't name who, had a big conference on reproductive justice and didn't invite SisterSong. So we had to claw our way in and say, excuse me, you know, just because you stole it don't make it yours. You gotta have to work with us in a more collaborative way. Now, I have to honestly say that the question of working with the mainstream is a major tension for SisterSong, because we were not created to fix the mainstream. Mm-hmm. We didn't even come about because of the mainstream. We saw unmet need in our community and we went to serve it. Now, we get a lot of criticism from the mainstream because some women are a little insecure and they say, well, how can we build a united movement if y'all separate from us? And we politely say, how can we separate from something we were never included in? You know, ask that question. And you know, it's a little of that, well, what about me kind of syndrome that happens. But on a more substantive way, we are always in that borderline of saying, how much do we focus on our agenda and our communities, and yet how much do we recognize that white women are also part of our base? You know, SisterSong includes white women, so we can't turn a blind eye to the needs of our base and expect to go forward. So it's a tension that we navigate. Sometimes we work with the mainstream and try to help them do whatever they want to do, but we do monitor how carefully it has the potential to distract us from our primary agenda. Because people always ask, well, are you going to go around and do reproductive justice trainings with Planned Parenthoods and NARALs and what have you? We'll say if we're asked, but that's not who we consider the audience of most consequence. Yeah. The audience of most consequence are the communities that we represent. I'm sure I answered your question.
And it's, as you say, a very complex and very crucial question. In the last minute that we've got left, let me just ask you if you might say a few words about what's next for Loretta Ross.
Well, I want to do more writing. I really co-wrote this book with 3 other authors, Yael Silliman, Marlene Freed, and Elena Gutierrez, and I was the non-PhD amongst them, and I found out how exciting writing is by working in tandem with a great team. And so I'm doing a lot more writing around reproductive justice. I'm actually in school trying to get a degree in women's studies, which I wasn't even available when I first went to college 35 years ago.
I know that well.
so now I'm back in class with all these 18 and 19-year-olds, and here I'm in my mid-50s having a ball. And if all goes well, I'm going to end up teaching women's studies somewhere.
Excellent. And I wish we had another several hours to continue the interview, but I would love to thank Loretta Ross, the National Coordinator of SisterSong, as well as Sasha Summer Cousino, with the Voices of Diversity for the Loretta Ross interview. This has been Jan Strout for the Seattle Now's Community Women's Voices TV show. You can watch .org. You can see the rebroadcast on PAX TV, and you can hear it coming up, as well as hear other diversity program voices. I'd like you to stay tuned for every second Sunday of the month for our next TV show, which will be talking about women, money, and power. Again, this is Jan Strout. Good evening for Community Women's Voices.
I believe in nature.
I believe in the spirit.
I believe in trust. Beauty.
I believe in my mom.
Strawberry ice cream.
Fortune cookies.
Chocolate. I believe in the tooth fairy.
Being honest with yourself.
I believe in Santa Claus.
Aliens, of course. I believe what I want to believe.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself. I believe in peace.